In this video, I'm going to share with you the 9 top secrets that the credit industry does not want you to know. And since I have a lot to cover, I'm just going to get right into it, jumping into number 1. So number 1 is pretty cut and dry. I like to pay my credit cards at least twice during a billing cycle. This also includes car payments. It could also include mortgages. This is how you could pay stuff down a lot faster, but also cut down your utilization, which also includes increasing your FICO score. So that means that if this is how I like to do it, I like to pay my credit card at least the bare minimum payment the very moment I'm able to pay that payment. So it may take 3 to 5 days after the statement closes. And then of course I like to pay it again right before the due date. And usually I pay the whole thing off every single month. You might not have the luxury of doing that. But what you can do is whatever your normal payment is going to be, like say it's going to be $200, maybe pay $100 right after the statement closes during your first available, availability in the calendar to be able to make that first $100 payment. And then pay the second $100 within 3 to 5 days before the billing statement closes. So that way it'll knock down your utilization, it'll actually make you look good, and it will basically increase your FICO score over time. A lot of banks and lenders will not share that with you, but that's the way you should do it. Now, if we're talking car payments, you can actually break those car payments in half. So say, for example, you have a car payment that's $1,000 a month. What you can do is you can actually pay $500 within, say, the first week or so after the closing of this last statement of the prior month. And then you can pay the remaining $500 within about 3 to 5 days before it's due. So that will actually decrease your interest rate. It'll help you pay off your vehicle a little bit faster, but will also increase your FICO score as well. So that's a tip. You could do the same thing with your mortgage. If you have a mortgage that's $2,000 a month, do the same exact thing within about a week or so after the closing of the prior statement's month. Then you can go ahead and pay $1,000 and then pay another $1,000 within 3 to 5 days before the final due date. And that can also knock down your interest over time, as well as decrease your utilization and increase your FICO score all at the same time. These are little tips that a lot of people do not know. The next secret that I have for you is keep your utilization. So here's the thing about a lot of people. They're told over the time that they have to keep their utilization under 30%, or roughly, below a third of your credit card usage on a credit limit. So for example, if you have, say, a $9,000 limit credit card, you're supposed to keep it under $3,000. That's the general rule of thumb. But a lot of people don't realize that that's really actually not accurate. So it's supposed to be less than 7%. So a lot of people are like, 7%, Monica, that's basically meaning that I'm not using my credit card at all. But you don't understand that usage is actually calculated across several credit cards. So this is why it's helpful to have more than one credit card. So then that way you can balance the usage. And so say, for example, you have 3 different credit cards. Each of them are $5,000 limits on them. And so if you can keep the usage down below $1,000 per card, and then ideally pay it off every single month, then that will actually increase your FICO score much better than you keeping it at the 30%. Now, never go over the 30%, because when you max out your credit cards, that does lower your FICO score. So that's a big secret that a lot of people don't understand. Now, the third secret is to be added as an authorized user on as many card accounts as possible. Now, you want to go with people that are credit worthy and credit responsible. So maybe your mom and dad, maybe brother, sister, maybe an adult child, maybe somebody else in your family, maybe a friend. And they can add you as an authorized user, literally never give you the credit card. They could put it in their safe or even shred it if they'd like to. But what it does is it allows you to adopt their long credit history. Now, you want to focus on accounts that they've had for at least 3 years. I like to focus on accounts that they've had for at least 5 years, but maybe beggars can't be choosers at this point. So at least 3 years that they've had a long standing with a certain bank, a credit card bank. And then what you want to do is just basically be added on as an authorized user. And again, they do not need to give you the credit card. And so what ends up doing, you basically piggyback off of their good credit. You want to do this for at least 3 card accounts. The better, the more, I guess you could say, larger, more well-recognized bank it is, like American Express, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, etc., the better. But if you can take any bank that has a long-term history, then that would be good as well. The next secret is going to be to use the credit stack attack strategy. So I talk a lot about the credit stack attack. This is located in my course materials at school.com/creditpreneur. I actually have a whole crash course on exactly how to gain access to over $100,000 in unsecured credit using this strategy. But the short of it is to be able to apply for a multitude of different cards at the same time, and to choose companies that will do a soft pull or no hard credit pull. So for example, you have a couple of companies like Apple, for example, they won't do a hard pull. Discover is another one that will not do a hard pull. And then finally, Navy Federal. So I did another video about Navy Federal back a little bit ago. And what I talk about is how lenient they are when it comes to credit. So everybody should facilitate some kind of business relationship with Navy Federal. It does not matter whether you have been in the military. In the video, I share with you exactly how I do it tutorial wise, and how I actually did it without having a direct military connection and not being in the military myself, because my grandfather was in the Navy and I never met the dude, never met him once, knew his name, did not know his date of birth, knew nothing. They only asked whether or not I had a family connection and what the branch of the military was that he was in. He did not have to have an account there. He can't possibly have an account because he's 6 feet under, and he has been for quite some time. But I didn't have to have any direct affiliation to Navy Federal, and they are the most lenient, and they can give you the most unsecured credit even if you do have credit problems. So they also do soft pulls as well. There are several other banks that offer soft pulls, so that way you can actually apply for several different credit cards and not actually have to deal with the hard pulls on your personal credit, because that actually weighs your score quite down heavily. And the reason it does is not just because of the FICO points it removes every single time there's a hard inquiry, but also it makes you look desperate, which throws off the algorithms, and therefore you can't really qualify for any other loan, because if you reek desperation, banks and lenders simply do not want to help you out. So the next one is to ask for credit line increases every single 6-month period. So say, for example, you get yourself a Navy Federal, unsecured personal credit card, and you have a great payment history for the first 6 months. Well, call them up on the phone and increase your credit limit. And you can do this every 6 months. And they will do it based on your credit history. So it's not going to be another hard credit pull from most of the banks out there, but they're just simply going to up your credit, which means that you have access to more usage on the card, and that will lower your usage, which is what you want to do. So if you could take a card that was initially maybe worth $5,000 and turn it into a card over time, maybe over the course of a couple of years, that's now worth $20,000 in a credit limit, and if you can keep that usage down around, $3,000 a month, hopefully ideally pay it off every single month if you can, that will astronomically increase your FICO score. So that's why you want to continue to increase your credit limits over time. And again, you can do it every single 6-month period. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you know what's on your credit reports. A lot of people just flounder through life and they have no idea what's on their credit reports. They don't look at their credit reports. They don't look at their FICO scores. So I recommend you go to Experian. You pay $39.99. It's a one-time fee. Get all 3 credit reports, all 3 FICO scores. So then that way you know where you stand and where you're going to be able to ultimately go. So you can try those freebie online things like Credit Karma or whatnot, but I found that sometimes their FICO score is just simply not accurate, and some of the stuff that's on your credit, they claim is on your credit, is not accurate. So I like to go with the most accuracy as possible. So I found that getting the 3 credit reports from Experian is the most accurate for me, but maybe you have a different method, I don't know. But you do need to look at your 3 FICO scores and your 3 credit reports to see what the negatives are on the credit. And you need to go ahead and go through the dispute process. I like to focus on closed accounts first, and then you can do open revolving like lates, for example, later. But getting closed accounts that are negatively reflecting on your credit, chisel away at those first. We're talking about collection agencies, charge-offs, any other type of negative closed account. This could also include a repossession, a foreclosure. Those are considered closed accounts, and you can chisel those off using my 609 letter, which you can get for free at getdisputeletters.com or secretcreditletters.com, which is down below in the description box. You can actually get those links, get the free downloads, and start working on disputing with the 3 credit reporting bureaus, which is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And by the way, when you start the process of going forth and doing your disputes, you should always freeze all of your credit profiles if you've not done so already. You can simply go to Google and type in freeze Experian, freeze Equifax, freeze TransUnion, and when you do that, you can get directly to the link to go ahead and freeze those credit profiles online. And so every single time, though, that you do apply for credit, you're going to have to take the freeze off temporarily, but you want to keep those frozen. In our era of identity theft, I always have people that are like, oh, I froze my credit reports. When can I unfreeze them? Never. Okay, never. The answer is never. It's almost like asking me, Monica, I locked my front door. When can I open my front door and leave it unlocked, and not only leave it unlocked, but leave the door wide open? When can I do that, Monica? The answer is never, okay? You have to protect yourself, okay? When you have yourself open and exposed, then you are inviting in identity theft and inviting in unscrupulous characters, they're becoming more and more sophisticated in being able to rip off people's identity. And the higher your credit score goes, the more valuable your credit profile and your credit history will be to them. And therefore, they're going to target you even more when it comes to trying to steal your identity and your credit history. So then that way they can open up, accounts under your name. Eventually, you're going to want a subscription to like LifeLock, for example. I have LifeLock as a app on my phone. Every single time there's any kind of activity that goes on in my account, I'm immediately notified, like immediately. And so if it's not you, then you notify the app, hey, this wasn't me, and then they start the process of helping you out if there is in fact an identity theft situation going on. But you are notified of everything that's going on, and you need to be aware of what's going on, especially in our era of data breaches that are constant, like daily. Your information is being ripped off and passed around on the dark web at all times of the day. And so again, the higher your credit score, the more valuable your data is going to be. So you need to start locking those credit profiles up with freezes, and then you need to consider getting yourself like a LifeLock subscription, for example, so that you can know exactly what's going on. So protect yourself, protect. So once you freeze all your credit reports, you want to start disputing. I like to start off with the 609 letter. You send it out, you send a trackable mail with a copy of your current driver's license showing your current address, and 2 utility bills also showing your current address, ideally within the last, say, 30 to 60 days. I like to have the most recent utility bill possible, because many times they like to kick the can down the road by saying, oh, we don't think this is you. We think maybe you're working with a credit repair company, blah, blah, blah. And so they like to kick it back to you so that they don't have to do the 30-day investigation. So you need to be prepared and armed and basically say, no, here's my identification. This is truly me, and I want this stuff investigated. And as per federal law, upon my request, you do have to investigate it. So that's what the 609 letter is. So then you send the 609 letter out, trackable mail. You wait 30 calendar days. And then if they did not give you a satisfactory result, then you can go ahead with the MOVE letter. It's the MOV letter. And that is basically demanding to know what their method of verification is as far as their investigation. They, by law, have to show proof that they did, in fact, do the investigation as per federal law upon your request. And that means that they need to show documentation of the things that they got from the creditors or the collection agency, showing proof and verification that this is your debt. And it needs to be beyond just sending a statement, because anybody can send an invoice or a statement stating that you owe them money. Does not mean that that's valid, okay? They need to show proof as in a signed contract or some kind of agreement to show that you are in fact the owner, the rightful owner of that account. So if they did not get that, then that is not considered a valid investigation. And so if they still don't want to remove the stuff off, then the final step is to actually threaten to sue them. And that letter needs to go certified, not just trackable, but certified. You need to basically say, I'm on the verge of suing you. So you have one last chance in this 30-day time frame to take all this stuff off as per my request, because you were unable through the method of verification to show proof as per federal law that these accounts are mine. Therefore, you either have 2 options. Option A, which is to actually remove them because you are unable to show proof that these are my accounts through the method of verification. Or option B, get sued. And what you could do is go to like squabbleapp.com, for example. I'll link it up down below. And you can file a small claims lawsuit in your jurisdiction against Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You should file 3 separate lawsuits against them. Get maximum damages in many states against a business. It would be about $10,000. Could be less in your state, I don't know. You'd have to look it up. But I found that the squabbleapp.com website is the fastest and easiest way to file a small claims lawsuit. However, you might just want to go down to the court and do it yourself, or do it online. Many of the small claims courts allow you to do it online if you'd like through their system. So every court's going to be different in every county. You just have to look it up. But be prepared to swing for the fences and sue them. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. They're just going to get frustrated because they're like, oh, damn, she was serious, or he was serious. Now what do we do? And so they might, in avoidance of the lawsuit, decide to finally remove all that crap off your credit. And then you would then have to dismiss the lawsuit if they follow through with, the dismissal of all those things on your credit. So that is a really good way to get stuff finally removed off, because many times when people threaten lawsuits, they don't actually follow through with the lawsuit. But since that they can clearly see that you did, they don't want to send somebody down to your county or do a Zoom call with the court, waste their time, because they're going to have to prove that they in fact did this investigation. And if they have nothing but some statements and some other crap that doesn't hold up in court, then they already know they're in trouble. And like I said, do not be afraid to sue these people, because sometimes that's what it's going to take to get the results that you're looking for. Another secret that a lot of people don't know is that you should never close long-term accounts. When I do my credit audits, which, by the way, if you're interested in a free credit audit, go ahead and go to school.com/Monica Main and choose the audit tile under classroom. And I can provide you with a free audit. Not everybody qualifies, but some of you do. And some of the credit reports that I see people sending in, they have really good credit history with, say, a second chance credit card. Say, for example, it's, a Total Visa or something. And they'll do the Total Visa thing for like 2 years, and then they close the freaking account. Don't do that. Don't do that. My recommendation is, when you do have to get a second chance credit card because maybe your credit score, FICO score, is like really ridiculously low, only get one, okay? Because usually with second chance credit cards, there's going to be a monthly fee that you're going to have to pay, and that's the penalty that you have to pay for having bad credit, and that's the penalty you have to pay for rebuilding your credit. But I suggest that you keep that one card forever. I have 3 credit cards that I got back when I was rebuilding my credit back in 2003 after I filed for bankruptcy. And 2 of them are applied card. One of them is a secured card that I spent $5,000 to open. And they keep the money like basically indefinitely until I close that account in a savings account. The other one's an unsecured card that I was finally able to get after I built a relationship with them. And then the other one is First Premier. So I still have to pay monthly fees to each one of these credit cards, but guess why I do it? It's because of the long-term history. I now have more than 20 years with all of these 3 credit cards. And so I'm willing to pay the monthly fee to keep those open, even though I don't even use those cards anymore. And I want that credit history forever. So don't get into a card and then close it 2 years later. Not a good plan, okay? You need to keep those open, and ideally open until the day you die, okay? Now, here's another secret that a lot of people don't know, and that is you can remove hard inquiries. I did another video about this. I can link it up below. In addition to that, I also have in my free credit letters that you can get at getdisputeletters.com or secretcreditletters.com, which I'll also link down below. You can get my hard inquiry removal letter for free as a free download, and you basically can send that to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion to remove hard inquiries. Now, I always start a certain way. Everybody always wants to fight me on doing everything the simple, easy, quick way, but there's a specific way, a Monica Main way of doing the hard inquiries. And that is, first, you dispute the ones that did not result in an open account, okay? So say, for example, you went to a car dealership, you went to Toyota, and you sat there and you tried to get qualified. They told you no, and you left, and you don't have an account. Okay, then you can dispute that hard inquiry, okay? Because they need to show proof that there is permissible purpose. And if they cannot show proof of permissible purpose, it has to fall off upon your request when you dispute the hard inquiry. Most of the time, they're not going to waste their time trying to fight you on leaving a hard inquiry on your credit report. We're talking about the potential creditor. So those are the first ones you go for, are the hard inquiries that did not result in an open account. So once those fall off with your first round of disputes for hard inquiries, then you can do a second round of hard inquiry disputes, and you can dispute the ones that did in fact result in an open account. So say, for example, you did go into the Toyota dealership and you did qualify for the Toyota and you did drive off the lot with the Toyota. Then you can go ahead in the second round of disputes, actually dispute that hard inquiry, that Toyota inquiry, as well as any other, shotgun, a lot of times when you go to a car dealership, they will shotgun out several different applications to several different lenders. You can have them all removed. In addition to Toyota, you can have them all removed on the second round of disputes. Now, the first round of disputes, you're probably going to dispute just the ones that never resulted in an account. The second round is going to be the ones that resulted in an account. Now, a little bit of a precarious, method that you need to take into consideration is that Experian will delete hard inquiries right away, okay, with a letter. TransUnion and Equifax might fight you, and that's why I have a special hard inquiry dispute letter that you can download for free at getdisputeletters.com or secretcreditletters.com, linked up down below this video, and that will disallow them from fighting too hard on the inquiries. Okay, but worst case, if Equifax and TransUnion does not want to take the hard inquiries off, then you can actually send a letter to the prospective bank or lender that did the hard inquiry, and you can say, no, you don't have permissible purpose to have pulled my credit. I don't know who the hell you people are. Take it off immediately. And many times they actually will take it off because they have no proof, really, and especially in our highly technological age where people are filling out applications online left and right, they really don't know if it was you or not. So many times they'll just take it off even upon request. So don't get stressed out if Equifax and TransUnion send you a letter saying, hey, we don't even deal with hard inquiries, so basically kick rocks. Then you can go directly to the people that are on your hard inquiry list on those two credit reports and deal with them directly. Okay, so that's a way to do that. So we talked about all this fun and exciting and amazing stuff. Let me talk about the 9th secret strategy, which is the most powerful. So I wish I would have known this when I was rebuilding my credit back in the day, but a lot of people don't know when you have a decent mid-FICO, I'm talking about at least a 720 mid-FICO or above, ideally 750. And by the way, once you get to 750, it's like the sky's the limit at that point. I know people push for 800 plus, but I've noticed that once I got to 750, I really didn't need to push any harder to go higher because I was able to get the credit that I needed and wanted once I got to that 750 place. So don't think that this is all about 800 or nothing. Just try to initially push for over 700, then 720, then 750, and then you don't have to really worry about credit at all after that point. So once you get to a 750 mid-FICO score, I strongly urge you to start in either an S corporation or an LLC in your home state, and you get yourself a virtual office address. You definitely want your EIN, which stands for Employer Identification Number, which is essentially the Social Security number of your new corporate identity. And what you could do is, even with a brand spanking new business, as long as you have a mid-FICO of over 750, you can qualify for unsecured business credit. Even better, there's so many different 0% APR promotional periods from anywhere from 6 months to 18 months on some of these business credit cards. One of my favorite business credit cards is Chase Inc. They'll give you an unsecured credit card of upwards of $50,000 right off the bat, even with a brand spanking new business, as long as your FICO is over 750 and you don't have a lot of inquiries. Like a lot of these more strict banks like Citibank or Chase, they want to see that your hard inquiries are less than 2, sometimes less than 3 in the last 6 months. That's why we need to get those hard inquiries off as quickly as possible, so then that way it makes you more credit worthy. Again, it's not even about the FICO points, it's about you looking desperate. The more lenient bank would be Navy Federal, which is why I want you to establish a business relationship with Navy Federal as quickly as possible, because when you are ready to get unsecured business credit, you can get an unsecured business credit card of up to about $25,000 with Navy Federal, even with some hard inquiries on there. They're a little bit more lenient. Like they'll allow, I think, up to like 6 hard inquiries in the course of like a 6 to 12 month period. They're the most lenient. But I like to see no hard inquiries on there, so then that way you can qualify for that Chase Inc. card at $50,000 with a 0% APR of 12 months or whatever the current going promotion is. So what you want to do then is, once you start getting business credit cards, I strongly urge you to start with American Express. Really, really good place to start your business relationship as far as unsecured business credit or corporate credit. But then you also should look at other banks. Like I said, Chase Inc. is a really good one. US Bank is also a really good one. Navy Federal is really, really a good bank to work with as far as unsecured business credit. So there are several really good banks that I like to work with. And so what you want to do is start getting a lot of unsecured business credit cards, provided that you have some usage for them. Hopefully you're looking into investing in real estate or looking into investing in some kind of business. If that's the case, then that's when you want to get the credit. You don't want to just get credit cards just to have credit cards, because then you're going to burn through your 0% APR promotional period, not use the card, and then, when it's time for you to use the card a year later, you have no more 0% APR promotional period to work with. So you want to start lining yourself up with some kind of side hustle business opportunity, which everybody's going to need anyway, because the days of having the luxury side hustle business are starting to evaporate, and now it's becoming a necessity if you're going to survive, moving through our catastrophic, catastrophic economic times that we're experiencing now, and it's just going to get harder and harder as time goes on. So what you can do then, so this is the secret here, is once you get these business credit cards, at least one business credit card, say you get the Navy Federal business credit card for $25,000. So you can do a balance transfer off your personal credit cards and throw them all on your business credit card. Even better if it's a 0% APR period for say 12 months. And therefore now you've just alleviated all this stress, all the FICO score burden of having to take lower FICO score points, because your personal credit has now been alleviated to zero. See what I mean? Like you no longer have those obligations, responsibilities. So now your usage is well below 7%, like I just talked about, on your personal credit. Because when you go to your business credit side, guess what? They don't report that on your personal credit unless, of course, it's stupid ass Capital One. So it's Capital One Business Sparks card will report on your personal credit, and the Discover It card for the business will also report on your personal credit. I'm sure there's probably others floating around out there. If you know, just happen to you can pop those in the comments down below if you know of another bank that's a business credit bank that will report on your personal credit, even using an EIN. But every other business credit card I've ever used and ever applied for and have in my possession, they do not report on your personal credit. So some people ask me, well, is it illegal to do that? And the answer is no. If you are using a business credit card, but you're paying personal expenses from your personal account, how is that illegal? You're not saying that these are business expenses. You're not putting that on your tax return that they're business expenses for the business. So it's not illegal for you to do that as long as you keep all of your stuff straight. So I have a business credit card that I use for all my personal stuff, but I take the money out of my personal checking account to pay that business credit card. And I don't take any of the expenses that I pay out of that business credit card, and I don't put that on the business as far as expenses go. So as long as you are playing by the rules as far as that goes, especially when it comes to your IRS tax returns that are due every single year, which for the business it's going to be March 15th, not April 15th. Please keep that in mind. As long as you're doing right by that, then you are not doing anything illegal in any way whatsoever. So that is my favorite secret in all of this. So the faster you can get that FICO score, bare minimum 720. 720 you can get an American Express, okay? Even less than that. American Express will probably even approve you at just under 700. So if you don't already have a business entity set up in your home state with a virtual office address as well as an EIN, then if you're getting close to that, say 695, 700 mid-FICO, you might want to start forming your corporation immediately. I have a company that I like to use. It's called AmeriLawyer.com. I will link it up down below in the description box, and you can actually form a corporation within the next week or two. Remember, you want that EIN number. You have to have that. Do not run these as a sole proprietor. Do not put your social security number on there instead of an EIN. That's stupid, stupid, stupid. Don't do it. Have itself be its own entity, like it's your twin brother or sister, okay? And the only way that could work is if your twin brother and sister has, a social security number, which is an EIN in the world of the corporate business. So that's my favorite secret, and that's how you can gain access to a lot of unsecured credit without any of it affecting your personal FICO. People ask me, it's like, how do you have an 800 and something FICO score? My credit usage is high because I do have businesses that require constant amounts of money to be put in for inventory and so forth, but none of it affects my personal credit because their business credit cards, okay? So that's why I'm able to keep my usage on the personal side really, really low, which is why my FICO score is so high, and you can experience that same benefit as well. In addition to that, business credit cards will give you so much more in credit limits than you'll ever experience or dream of when it comes to your personal credit. So I hope that this was helpful. If so, give me a nice thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channel. I'm really close to 100,000 subscribers, and once I get it, I'm going to release a video that's going to blow your mind. So the faster I could get to 100,000, which I'm so close, the better, and I do appreciate all your support. Also, you want to join my free school group, school.com/Monica Main. Get in. You can get my free Credit Millionaire book as a download instantly, as well as other free trainings and so forth. I'm also going to be uploading some more seminars that you can watch for free at school.com/Monica Main. Some powerful stuff, especially for those of you that are really interested in learning how to make money with the ultimate side hustle. That's definitely a group that you want to join, okay? So I hope that you found that this was helpful. If so, give me a nice thumbs up. Like I said, subscribe. 100,000 subscribers. We're almost there, and I will release this amazing power-packed video. Like I said, it'll blow your mind, all right? This is Monica Main signing off, and I will see you in the next video.